With your CIGTV News Update, I'm Donna Bush. Glad you could join us on this Friday evening. Today is World Press Freedom Day, which celebrates the fundamental principles of media freedom and defending journalists and media workers as they go about their jobs. To mark the day, His Excellency Governor Martin Roper had this to say.
This is Governor Roper, and today is World Press Freedom Day. So I wanted to have an opportunity to say how important it is to recognise what a valuable role journalists here in the Cayman Islands and across the world play in supporting democracy, our values and freedom of speech. I think we're lucky here in the Cayman Islands to have a vibrant and a lively press who have a responsibility for integrity and accuracy. But it's also important that we do recognise that our journalists and our press play that valuable role in our society, protecting our rights to freedom of speech and playing a valuable role in society. So a shout out to all the journalists across the Cayman Islands on this important day. Thank you.
And the UK Foreign Secretary, Mr. Jeremy Hunt, has launched an international campaign, Defend Media Freedom, which aims to shine a spotlight on media freedom on July 10th and 11th. This year, the first ever global ministerial-led media freedom conference will also take place in London. It will be co-hosted by the UK and Canada and will involve over 1,000 participants from around the world. Well, on the eve of the annual Bada Banu Adult Parade this Saturday, a big announcement about the 2020 event. This news on this Friday is from government and organizers of the Bada Banu and Cayman carnivals. Beginning again next year, the street parades staged by the Cayman Islands' two nonprofit organizations will take place on the same day in May of 2020 instead of a week apart. Plans developed by government calls for both adult events to take place on the second weekend in May starting next year and to follow the same route. Bada Banu will, of course, lead off as the longest established of the two. Once at the end of the route, the processions will culminate in a separate events or parties.
What we will have is for the tourists, there's no confusion as to which carnival to attend. We've had situations where people have just bothered not to participate or to travel to the Cayman Islands because they weren't sure which one was the best carnival. Now we'll have a better experience, a bigger experience, and everyone can benefit from this. We have had or complaints from businesses and from the Port Authority in terms of the slowdown in the movement of the products, and also businesses saw a huge reduction in their businesses during. They don't mind one road closure, but 2 road closures in 1 month is too much for them, and this is some of the benefits that they've asked. They've reached out to us to try to have this solved, and with the Ministry of Commerce, the Ministry of Tourism, and the Ministry of Culture, we all got together with the stakeholders and decided this was the best way to move forward.
Now, leading up to the adult street parade, officials say Bada Banu and Cayman will still host separate parties, juvees, song competitions, and other events. In addition, the Bada Banu organized Junior Carnival on Grand Cayman will take place on the first weekend in May. Another key change to the administration of the carnivals is set for the start of the 2020 fiscal year. At this point, responsibility for all public sector financial contributions or grants to carnivals will move from the Ministry and Department of Tourism to the Cayman National Cultural Foundation. Under the auspices of the Ministry of Culture, plans are for government to contribute to both Bada Banu and Cayman through comparable annual grants and purchase agreements. Now, the changes are the product of a working group led by the Ministry of Culture and included representatives from the Ministry of Commerce as well as the Ministry of Tourism. A press release states that the ministry and its statutory authorities will continue to liaise with tourism-focused colleagues on carnivals and other aspects of cultural tourism. On Thursday this week, the Deputy Premier, Mr. Moses Kirkconnell, Minister Dwayne Seymour, and Councillor David White actually met with representatives from Batabanu and Cayman to share the proposal for a national campaign, a carnival plan. Now, officials say they're committed to continuing dialogue with stakeholders until plans for Carnival season 2020 have been finalized. Well, for a look at our weekly schedule of programs here on CIG Television, you can go online to gis.gov.ky. If you missed today's news update, you can go to the Cayman Islands Government Facebook page or the CIG Television YouTube channel. I'm Donna Bush with your CIG TV News update for this Friday and this week. I thank you for joining us as always. I wish you a wonderful, safe, and enjoyable weekend. Until Monday, bye-bye for now.
Boating, fishing, and water sports in the Cayman Islands are great, but keep a cool head. Here are 7 tips for fun and safe sea outings. Number 1. Use a checklist to plan your outing. Check the weather forecast, make a float plan, and share it with someone who is remaining on land, stating where you're going, with whom, and when you're expected to return. Visit your nearest marine supply store to get your safety gear. This includes signaling mirrors, whistles, and a flare kit. It's also very important to have onboard flotation devices and life vests for each person. There are different types of vests. Some are for water sport activities such as snorkeling, and others are for going on offshore boating or on fishing trips. Number 2. These items can be lifesavers in case of an accident or bad weather. Number 3. Use a motor kill switch, especially if you're boating alone. In case of a leak or breakdown, always stay with the boat until help arrives. If you capsize, an emergency beacon or locator device can send a distress signal to inform the authorities of your location. Larger flares will indicate distress to a boat, airplane, or search and rescue officials. Number 4. In addition to sunscreen, food, and beverages, it would be smart to have a cell phone. Make sure your marine radio works. Cayman's boaters use Channel 16 to communicate. Number 5. Also, don't forget your anchor and sufficient rope. Number 6. Boat operators should be familiar with the local waters and reefs, as well as the capabilities and functions of the vessels they are using. Always obey the rules of the sea and the marine environment, and have courtesy for others. Number 7. Alcohol and salt water do not mix, especially if you're the captain. Some useful contact numbers are 911. The RCIPS Marine Base is 649-7710, and the Port Authority is 949-2055. Smooth sailing, all!
The Esterly Tibbetts Highway 3-lane roundabout is ready for drivers. It's time to make sure you know how to use it. First, know which exit you need to take. Pay attention to lane arrows and signs. Make sure you use your signal to change lanes or exit the roundabout. To turn left, you always approach in the left-hand lane and indicate left. To drive straight ahead, you need to be looking out for signs and road markings indicating which lane to use. Get in one of the lanes marked with a straight-through arrow. If turning right, you must use the right-hand lane and indicate accordingly. To use the roundabout safely, remember these 3 tips. Know your exit, pick your lane, and signal to make your turn.
Did you know that planning permission is required for a shed? Did you know you should check with the department as a planning and permit application may be required?